Your new favorite women's basketball pod has arrived. Join broadcasters, hoopers, and friends Meghan McKeown
and Zora Stephenson for Got Next, a weekly show dedicated to all things women's basketball.
We'll share our power rankings during the college season, get you up to speed on the biggest stories. Of course, we'll tell you who's got next. Think up-and-coming player or team, and you'll hear from players and coaches too.
Speaking of players, Zora played at Elon University.
And Meghan was a guard at Northwestern. Now we travel the country every week calling games, but this year we want to take you with us. I still have the confetti from Caitlin Clark's record-breaking game in my backpack.
Remember, it took us like 2 hours to get into the parking lot that game?
We almost missed the game. Clearly, this pod won't be all about ball.
Yeah, remember when you woke me up at 4 a.m. freaking out about a tornado in Columbus, Ohio?
We came downstairs in our pajamas and sat there for like an hour. That day solidified our friendship.
We've got stories for days, by the way.
If you can't tell, we love this game and we can't wait to share it with all of you. Got Next, weekly on the NBC Sports YouTube page or wherever you get your podcasts. Meghan's jamming. I'm smiling from ear to ear. Welcome in to Got Next, everyone. What started as us just going back and forth, chit-chatting like we always do, is not just an idea anymore. It's a reality with a logo and music. We are so excited. This is all fueled by our love of ball. We've been playing basketball as long as we can remember.
Yeah.
Are we still playing?
Some days.
Some days are better than
I
others.
retired to horse only.
And now we travel the country talking all about women's basketball. And with the rise of the game right now, we thought, what better time?
We are like the friends, everyone sits down, they're like, oh, let's, start a podcast over a couple glasses of wine. And then we actually were able to bring this to fruition. We're so excited that NBC Sports was like, yeah, let's do it, because women's basketball is at a peak right now. And it's so exciting that everybody else is finally realizing how good of a game and a product this is right now, coming off the WNBA season, going into college hoops. We are primed for another big year. Also, shout out to you for matching our set. How cool does this look? And Zora, I mean, she just looks like she came with the set.
If you
it's
can't
perfect.
tell what my favorite color is, I did like Northwestern.
I know. Well, listen, Wildcat, you don't have to convince me purple's a good color. Come on.
And we travel the country every single week, covering games. And so this year we're like, let's bring all of our new friends, that would be you all, with us as we break down things. Meghan is going to do power rankings. I'll contribute here and there. We'll share stories of our travels. We've got crazy stories. And we're going to talk to some awesome guests, coaches, players, analysts. And we're kicking everything off with a preview of 5 different conferences.
I'm so excited about this, by the way. And it's one of those things where we want everybody who is listening to this, watching this at home, depending on how you're getting your podcast, to feel like the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Women's basketball, there's a lot of teams. There's so many incredible storylines this year. There's so much talent. We want to bring that all to you in a way that's easily digestible.
If you're new to the game, join us. And if you've loved it forever, you can join us as well. There's a little bit for everyone. So, Got Next, your new favorite weekly podcast, drop in every Tuesday. Let's do this, friends.
Let's do it, girl.
I'm rubbing my hands together because I have a feeling this next conference is a little spicy. And it's a toss-up. We're talking Big 12. There's 2 teams that you have your eye on, Meghan.
Kansas State and Iowa State. Both are going to be excellent this season. I love these 2 teams because they focus on the post players. Ayoka Lee for Kansas State, she's 6'7", coming off averaging more than 19 points a game. She's so dominant down low in the post, and even when you try to push her off her spots, she finds a way to get there, uses her quick footwork. She's great at finishing. And then for Iowa State, Audi Crooks, averaged 19 points as a freshman. She is fantastic down low as well, really mobile with her footwork, and I'm so excited to see how she grows in year 2. But she came on the scene, especially in the NCAA tournament, dropping, I believe, 40 it was, and to go to the Sweet 16.
And the versatility, and this is what I want to ask our guest about, is her development as the season went along. So now is the perfect time to bring in our expert for the Big 12, not just a broadcaster, not just a coach, but Brenda, I want to call you a historian of the game as well.
Yes.
And I think now is no time than better to have people like yourself surrounding our game, talking about our game, and reminding people of the history, right? And how we got to this point. So Brenda VanLengen, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with Iowa State and Crooks. And can you just summarize her ascension just in her freshman season and what you expect from her in her sophomore campaign?
Yeah, it was really amazing, and thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to talk with you all and excited to get the season started, right? Audie came out of a very small school in Iowa and, dominated in high school. And so there were a lot of question marks what she'd be able to do. And she answered all of those questions because she really developed through using her size, using her strength, learning how the game was officiated. And I was so impressed by the end of the season in the Big 12 championship and also in the NCAA tournament, what she was able to do. And I think now that she has a taste of what Division One big time basketball is all about, I just think you're going to see her get better. Her demeanor is amazing. She is one of that you could just see from those pictures, one of the biggest personalities, and she doesn't get rattled, even though people are so physical with her. And I just, being in a system with Bill Fenley, who's now in his 30th year at Iowa State, and then shooting all the threes. She can pull out and shoot the three, but she can just tear it apart inside as well.
I absolutely love her game. I loved watching her, especially in that NCAA tournament run that they made before falling short to Stanford. But like you said, Bill Fenley, one of the legendary coaches in women's basketball. It's hard to believe he's been there for 30 years. Another team I'm looking forward to watching is Kansas State. It feels like that core has been there for a while now, and now you have Ayoka Lee coming back for another year. Look, I mean, this is a player that has been known to drop 60 in a game before. She's 6'7". Why has she been so...
Wait, you said 60? I just want to make sure that everybody understands what this player is doing.
It was 61, I believe, right, Brenda? But
yeah, it was the NCAA record. I was on the call of the game, yes.
I mean, why has she continued to be so dominant throughout the course of her career? And what's Kansas State's ceiling?
That's a really interesting team. And I think all the K-State fans were so excited to have her back this year because they didn't know if she would go on to the next level. This is actually her 7th year at K-State, a couple of years out with injuries. Her footwork is impeccable. She's so strong. She has seen every different type of defense, and she works well within Jeff Mitty's system because they have so many guards. And when they had a lot of freshmen around her junior year, and then she had a year out with an injury, and then they all grew up, and then last year really came together. It was a really disappointing loss for them in the second round of the NCAA tournament against Colorado. And so I think you're going to see a little even more edginess for K-State coming back this year. They know what they're capable of, and I think they're a top 10 team for sure. And it's going to be really interesting. Iowa State, Kansas State, but a lot of other teams in the Big 12. I heard you say at the beginning it might be a little spicy. I think it might be a little spicy this year.
Another team we want to get your thoughts on is TCU. Of course, they add the phenom, big name in women's basketball, Hailey Van Lith. How much will that affect what they're able to do, and where do you think they might fall in this conference?
Well, that's a really good question. I think a lot of people are very interested in that. Last year TCU comes in and they're building with all of these transfers, and they've got Madison Connor, they've got Sedona Prince last year, and then you add Hailey Van Lith and Maddie Shear from Kentucky, and they're all about the pick and roll game, and what they were able to do, as a staff. Mark Campbell, as an assistant at Oregon with Sabrina Ionescu and the Sabali sisters. That's what they're going to try to do at TCU and play that pick and roll game. And so with Hailey Van Lith, going through that in that system and just, having Sedona Prince to set screens for her and others, it's going to be really interesting. And it's something I think very interesting about the Big 12, that there's so many different styles of play. And so it's a different style of play every night when you hit the court. And TCU brings a really different look with the pick and roll game and so many talented transfers.
Brenda, I can't believe we've made it this far without bringing up Baylor yet. Like, what is this? But still, this is a deep league where, you can talk about a couple other teams before Baylor comes into the conversation. They lose their leading scorer from last year in Edwards. But where do you see them in the big picture of things?
Yeah, Baylor dominated this league for so many years. It's crazy to not think of them at the very top, but they are definitely one of the best teams. Once again, Nikki Collin does a terrific job there, bringing her experience from the WNBA into their style of play. And Dariana Littlepage Buggs and Bella Fauntleroy, two of my favorite players in the league. They're both going to be juniors. They've started since they were freshmen. Sarah Andrews is coming back. She is um, just a clutch shooter. And Jada Walker, who of course went off in that NCAA tournament game last year when they advanced to the Sweet 16. So, and don't forget, transfer portal. It's like, remember who transferred where and when. Von Lay, who was a Pac-12 all Pac-12 team player that played for Colorado, has transferred to Baylor. So now you think of all the history of all those great bigs at Baylor. Von Lay is going to be around all those great guards. So Baylor will be tough, and they'll be tested in the non-conference as well.
Brenda, we have to keep track of transfer portal players, and then we have to keep track of conference realignments. I mean, there's a lot of Pac-12 contingencies. Now in the Big 12, we're talking Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State. And this is where we're going to kind of wrap up our conversation in terms of all these teams. Where do you think this group is going to fall in the big picture, and how will it affect the league as a whole?
Wow. You have a team in Arizona that was in the national championship game just a couple of years ago. And you have Utah with Lynn Roberts, who does a tremendous job there. And the tradition of Arizona State and Colorado advanced to the Sweet 16 last year. They lost a lot, but they've got a lot of talent back. They're going to be in the mix. They're going to mix things up as well. It's going to be really interesting when you add, the Big 12 lost Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC, and then you bring in those four formerly Pac-12 teams. So it's just really an interesting mix of styles of play, and every night it's going to be something a little different. And I don't know if we're going to get to any sleepers or anything like that, but I absolutely can't forget West Virginia, because West Virginia is a team that isn't a sleeper, but a lot of people don't know as much about them. And J.J. Quinterly, one of the best guards in the country, and they're one of the best defensive teams. So I just want to make sure that I don't, finish this segment without talking about West Virginia.
Well, I'm glad you did, because I think back to that game in the round of 32 to go to the Sweet 16, West Virginia, Iowa, and it didn't feel like Iowa was going to get out of that round because of J.J. Quinterly and how suffocating West Virginia's defense was against Iowa, who was leading, I believe, the nation in scoring at the time. So I'm glad you brought them up. And of course, Brenda works in TV, so she knows we were going to ask her, the sleeper teams in this league, West Virginia. Anybody else that we need to be keeping our eyes on?
Well, we talked about Utah. Of course, they don't have Alyssa Pilley this year, but they do have Gianna Neepkins coming back, and just a lot of talent. So I think, they're going to be in that mix, and I think Arizona will be good. Kansas lost a lot from last year, but they still have Samaya Nichols, who is a very, very talented young player that they built a lot of their offense around last year. So there's a lot of talent up and down this league. As I've mentioned before, different styles of play, which just makes it really unique, because some styles match up better against others. And with the now, is it 16 teams? Yeah, 16 teams in the Big 12. How the schedule works out, who plays who, where, who do you play twice? All those things will come into play as, the Big 12 sorts itself out this year.
Well, Brenda, we appreciate you for organizing it all for us and giving us some understanding of what teams are where. But at the end of the day, this is all predictions, right?
I mean,
we don't know what's going to happen. That's the fun part about it. And I think we started this segment with the perfect spice, right? And Brenda co-signed on it. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you two as well, all the work that you do. And this is going to be a very fun season, right?
Agreed.
Can't wait. Brenda VanLengen's such a legend, by the way.
Meghan, after that,
such a legend.
Do you have an idea of where your preseason picks are going to go? We want to make sure we tell the people that these are Meghan's way too early
I don't know what I'm doing here. Just like I'm just saying some things. You know.
You're on par, but the Big 12 is going to be hard. Who's
Big 12. I'm so excited about the Big 12 now after just hearing that whole entire breakdown.
Great job of pumping up the conference.
Oh my gosh, so excited about this. When you look at the preseason polls that came out, like Kansas State 13th in the country, Baylor 12th. You have Iowa State at 8th. So to me, when I have to pick, if you're going to make me pick right now, which you're going to because producer Natalie is also making me pick, I feel like Iowa State's in a really good position to win this conference. Ayoka Lee, Player of the Year, I think it's hers for the taking. Audi Crooks could definitely challenge for that as well. And then
this is a big one.
Yeah, you know, the Final Four, it's all going to be matchups. We're just, you know, I had to fill in the column. I'm high on Iowa State. Shout out to the Finleys. They're friends and just great coaches as well. So I'm really confident in what they have back because they have experience and they have players that have been to the NCAA tournament before. Take a look at Baylor, Kansas State. I mean, West Virginia defensively, like you don't want to play against someone who's all up in your grill. We played like there was nothing worse than when you had somebody guarding you for 90 feet and making you feel like you had no room to breathe. And West Virginia's defense is really quite something. It's a deep conference.
Those are like the type of people that you're just like, all right, can you stop playing defense
Next
for a second?
thing, yeah.
I do want to back up and get a little deeper into Ayoka Lee's game. Can you break it down a little? What makes her so special and what makes you so high on her?
Well, besides the fact that she's 6'7", so that's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, then you got to figure out how you're going to guard her. If you guard her one-on-one, then good luck because she can pretty much get the ball anywhere she wants, and where you put her or try to push her off of her spot, she still has that footwork to get to where she wants to go and finish towards the rim. She's just strong. She can finish over both shoulders. She can finish through contact. She's a special player, smart player as well, who's used to seeing different types of defenses, and she can score no matter what the situation is at hand.
The biggest takeaway from what Brenda was saying to me is that it's different styles of basketball within one conference. And so every single week, I mean, we you know, you've really got to lock in on the game plan. And that makes it hard, right? It's not like you can just say, hey, if we rebound every single week, right, we're going to win the game. It's going to be something different depending on the opponent.
Styles of play, but playing in a conference like the Big 12 helps you prepare as a team for the NCAA tournament, because when tournament time comes, you're matched up against different styles of play normally, no matter what. It's just going to depend on what the committee decides. If you can go through a 16, 18 game conference schedule and get yourself prepared for that, your team's in such a better place, and it's a massive advantage for a lot of these players.
And hopefully the committee sees that when looking at teams within this conference, right?
We're really pumping up the Big 12
I know,
right
we
now.
are, right? Like, Big 12 conference, reach out to us.
Yeah.
But I think it's been natural though, right? Because of all the talent.
And there's so much talent, and that's what makes it fun. And in an age where basketball is becoming more and more positionless, you know, Crooks can pull it out and knock down shots, but it's fun to see some traditional back-to-the-back post still, that old school traditional basketball, if you will.
Yeah, well, we love the variety in this conference. Again, thank you so much to Brenda. And Meghan, thank you for your expertise.
Oh my gosh.
As always, Big 12 conference preview.
People are going to be like, you said this and you were so wrong. And I'm going to be like, you're right. We have the
Don't
receipts.
worry.
It's
I'm not
fine.
afraid to call her out.
She'll definitely call me out.